Yes, I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I see you.
Sure that
I recognize those guns.
I'm drilling down, down, down. I'm getting deeper. I'm looking round, round, round like a midnight peeper. Is the earth's core made of cheese? If I dig straight through on this big Chinese, I got some questions, you got some answers. Tell me please, please, please. Tell me please, please, please. Tell me please, please, please.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am so grateful and pleased to introduce this episode of the Drilled with Dr. Brady podcast. It has been a great honor of mine to involve myself in a couple of different collaborations. It started with our friend Steve-O a while back now, and you can go back through and listen to some of our episodes where we had Steve-O on the podcast. And he made the amazing introduction to Dr. Drew Pinsky, who is joining us today with his wife, Susan Pinsky.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
You did.
Not Sailor.
It's Siler, actually,
This
technically.
is a rare sighting, my friend. This is a rare sighting. I don't know how you pulled this one off, but getting her to come on to a stream or a pod is a pretty tall order. So
and getting my name right, too.
Well done.
Thank you. She tried to get out of it, actually,
Oh,
just
I'm
a few
sure.
minutes ago. She texted, she's like, "Are you sure you don't just want Drew?" And I was like, "Nope, I got questions for you too. Stay on. I want you guys both there to be." No, I'm super grateful. Thank you so much for joining us. I kind of want to explain a little bit about how we got to know each other, because it was an introduction by Steve-O, who you have a great history with.
Yeah.
Dr. Drew was instrumental in Steve-O's sobriety, which was something that even Steve-O's closest friends kind of didn't think was going to happen or didn't think could happen. He lived quite the wild life, and he seems to have rein that in.
Yeah.
And now he's quite a philanthropic person, which people don't really know that about him, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, he's an amazing human being, and he was always an amazing human being. He was just wasted, and he used to always tell me, because I used to come around and go, "Steve, come on, man, you're gonna have to do something." And finally, there was a famous episode on Corolla's talk show on Comedy Central where he was completely out of his mind and broke a table and tackled Adam. I don't know if you ever saw that footage.
I have seen that, and it's fantastic.
I was backstage with that, and just before that all happened, he goes, "Hey, man, stop it. Just stop bothering me." He goes, "When I decide it's time to do this, I will do it, and I will do it all the right way." And I just said, "Okay, I'll take it at your word." It usually doesn't work like that, but okay. And sure enough, fast forward about 2 years, I get a call from Johnny Knoxville that Steve-O's about to kill himself. Long story in there, but he was high on nitrous and psychotic and going to drive a motorcycle off a building because he thought he could fly and blah, 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 blah. And I said, Knoxville, you have tied him up 1,000,000 times. Now you got to do it again. You got to go tie him up, throw him in the trunk, take him to the hospital. And he did it. And he is alive today because of Knoxville and his friends.
No, that intervention, that whole story, and it was that whole story is kind of detailed in the documentary "The Rise and Fall of Steve-O," which is interesting, and you can kind of get the details of that story. Anyway, through a very awesome series of circumstances, Steve-O came on our program, and I asked him, I said, "Do you think do you think Dr. Drew might be interested in this?" And he said, "You know what? I think this is so cool what you're doing. I'm going to ask him for you." And then sure enough, not too long later, we got an invitation to come out to LA and be on your podcast. And that's when me and you met. And then it wasn't too long after that you got an email from Allison Riney, who has also been on our podcast.
I got an email.
She got the email. She got it. She
read it.
random.
It was very random.
This is when
Yeah.
So this is when Susan gets involved. You get this email, and here's what I understand. Tell me if this is right or wrong. If you go back and listen to our podcast with Allison Riney, you'll kind of hear the whole story. I'm sure, Susan, you must get an immense amount of emails. And for you to dial in on this one, what was that? Just
out of the blue.
Out of the blue.
No, what did you?
She told her story clearly. I get a lot of emails that are just gibberish, garbage. You're not really sure what they're trying to say, but they need help. I get a lot of, calls for Drew to save their lives every day. And, we can't save everybody's life, clearly, but I read the emails. I save all of them too. But this particular one happened to be in proper English, and she explained how she was a writer, and she had a really terrible experience, and this was post or pre-COVID. So she was at a Black Lives Matters protest, and she saw some people die. She got PTSD. She had kicked opiates after years and years of abuse from having medical problems from being a cheerleader or whatever it was. And, that kind of
story
was close to me because, I can understand how athletes can get addicted to, opiates. And anyway, she had become sober and on her own and kicked it. And I was like, this is kind of a cool story. But she said, the only thing I can't do is when I write my book about the Black Lives Matter experience I had, I can't smile for the back page. And I happen to be very vain about how I look. And I said, you know what? I can kind of relate to that. But she said, I just wish that someone would help me with my teeth. And I said, oh my God, Drew, read this. I don't know. It was Valentine's Day. It just was random, but I really liked her letter. It was.
Had I talked to?
No. I just emailed it to you and said, look at this letter. And you went, oh. And then the next day you said, oh, I have a dentist that's going to fix her teeth. And I was like, how the hell did you do that? Like, really? And I was like, oh my God, I got so excited. And then I said, well, I think she sounds really legit. We never saw a picture of her. We didn't know what she looked like. it wasn't like she sent me a headshot and, I went, oh yeah, you really could use some teeth, or you're really beautiful. Or I just liked her letter, and or maybe it was just some intuition. I don't know what it was, but it was like just a random thing. And I want to say I do read everybody's letters that come through on a regular basis when I can. It just happened to be that I don't know why I even opened that email. So,
well, a good one
connected.
It was
he literally emailed it to you, within 10 minutes. That's how he is. He takes 5 minutes when he gets an email and he moves on. He gives it to whoever, and then I have to book it the next day. So I was really, really excited. I didn't know what was going to happen. She didn't seem sketchy. She seemed nice in the email.
I remember worrying about her opiate addiction. Like, was this really an addiction or a dependency? Are we going to have issues around that? And it turned out to be strictly what we call iatrogenic. The doctor strung her out. She does not have real addiction. She had dependency. Yeah. When she was off, she was off. She did not want to get back on.
He was worried. He's like, are you sure you want me to do this?
So that was my concern.
It was such a sad story.
These stories can get the addiction part can get very involved, and you can get involved with people with their teeth, and all of a sudden we got another bigger problem that starts to emerge. And it was my assessment that that wasn't going to happen.
Right.
So,
thank God for you.
Yeah. And I think about that. I mean, that's something that goes, through my head as well. I read her story and I kind of got the exact same kind of vibe, which was like, she's just been through so much. Her opioid use started when she was only 15 years old. It was from a gymnastics accident that occurred. And it was, tremendously sad story that is just one that's very similar to
many
thousands and thousands of people.
Horrible medical care on top of everything else. Yeah. And I could
exactly right. And then that just does tremendous.
Although she didn't put that in the letter. She said,
we could tell.
She was like, I love my doctors, but I became an addict. So.
Yeah.
She recognizes that now for sure. She recognizes where the turn went bad for her. She definitely recognizes that. And she's been a treat. She has been a delight. She's been nothing but grateful. We still are not done with her. We put her in a very beautiful temporary situation, and then we'll be having her back in about a month or so. We'll bring her back. Okay. We'll fly her back over from Philadelphia. She'll fly back over to here to Camas, Washington, Portland, Oregon area, and we'll finish her up. She's
an absolutely beautiful, charming, intellectual woman. And I had no idea how pretty she was until we were doing the show that you were on the first day you met her. And we didn't put her picture up because I didn't even ask her for her picture. That had nothing to do with it. And then I looked on Facebook and I saw her and I was like,
She's pretty.
Brady, she's really kind of cute. And you're like, oh my God, she really is kind of cute. Like, I mean, seriously, this was a transformation on the perfect person somehow. Not if she wasn't, perfect,
it's really
cute, it wouldn't have mattered. I didn't really care, but I was like, wow, this is going to look really good, And she did. She looked so phenomenal.
Yeah, and it's been, it's a highlight of what I'm trying to create here is an impactful dental charity that all dentists can kind of participate in, and to see these beautiful type of transformations. And then it's just been a tremendous a tremendous event for me to be able to collaborate with you two.
Thank you.
I just am super grateful.
Didn't we have you on with Randy Licious too? From Randy from Teen Mom?
Papa Randall
Yeah.
Licious. Listen,
Yes, we did.
I told you, Dr. Drew is cool, but Papa Randall Licious has me starstruck because I'm a Teen Mom fanatic.
I know, he was very upset with me. He was like, hey, Dr. Brady gets all the opportunities to do philosophy. How about me? I'm like, Randy, you're in. We got you.
He's fun.
There's some backstory on that, Drew. We were at a conference where I met Papa Randalicious, whose name is Randy Hauska, by the way, and he's the father of Chelsea Hauska, who's been featured on Teen Mom for, I don't know, a decade
10 years.
now.
Yeah.
Right. So the very prominent figures on that program. And we were at a conference where I met him. And then I was talking about, I was just recently on the Dr. Drew podcast. It was super cool. And he's like, oh, really? And I did it in the presence of the guy who runs another dental charity, which Randy's involved with. And he's like, how come you're not on Dr. Drew? We could use that. And so he got some crap. He got some crap for that. And and then I think that's where you got some messages from him.
Got it. Okay. So
anyway,
that's
he's fantastic. And that charity is fantastic. It's just dentists wield this amazing power that I don't think the average person understands, the ability we have to change lives, and the ability that teeth can change lives for the negative when they are let go or ruined or damaged, whether it's the fault of the individual or not. It still kind of ruins the rest of their life. You can't really have you can't have a relationship that you want. You can't have a job that you want. You can't interact with people in the way that you want to, and you can't eat the way you want. I mean, it's just like all the things that we enjoy as human beings are just kind of out the window when this kind of tooth damage is present. And so that's kind of what our organization tries to do. We try to
teeth were crazy though. I've never seen teeth like that before. Like there are pits all the way around, and she had these beautiful blue eyes, and these teeth were it was amazing, the transformation. He turned her into the girl next door. It was it was crazy. And it was on our podcast. We showed the video of the before and after pictures, and she tells her story. So, hopefully Dr. Brady will put a link up so you can see.
Yeah, we'll put some link up. You can see some of the before and after pictures on our Instagram as well, and on our YouTube page. And we're actually documenting her whole journey through all this.
Maybe I can send you that little video montage we did, and you can put it up on your website or something. Oh,
that'd be great. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so listen, while I got both of you here, here we go.
She's still nervous, I can tell. She wonders what you're up to. Go ahead.
I talk a lot.
Listen, I heard a rumor, and the rumor is that when you two first met, Dr. Drew got rejected.
Oh yeah.
That's the rumor that I heard. Is this internet gossip, or is there truth to this?
No, it was brutal rejection.
a brutal rejection.
I was 20, okay?
Terrible rejection. Really heartless. Really, she should still be apologizing to me. But
was that the impetus to start working on your biceps, Dr. Drew?
You had biceps already.
Yeah, I was already working on things because it was second year medical school, and this guy and I were locked in an apartment studying for our first national boards. You take two parts. You take a second year, you take a fourth year. And we were really going at it. There was a girl announcing the fashion show, and I had this overwhelming desire just to make contact, which is not something I'd ever really experienced before. It was a strange experience. And I tried to talk to her, and she just blew me off like machine gun fire, complete like a mosquito, just don't listen to any of her excuses. It was brutality.
I was working.
It was the fact that one human can treat another human like that is really, it's something that I never witnessed before.
I was working for Diane.
So now fast forward 2 years, and I we meet through mutual friends. We're working at the radio station.
Yeah,
together.
I worked in radio at that point. The microphone paid off.
2 full years before you see her again.
2 years again. Did not know it was the same person. Did not have any idea it was the same person, but I had a similar reaction. Wow. And I did, and as we were sort of like parting ways after this, we did Loveline together one night. I just gave her my phone number. I said, I don't do this. I don't know. I know you have a boyfriend, but if you guys break up, just here's my number just in case. Yeah. And then she called. And we were
still dating the same guy, and I was ready to get rid of him. And
we were dating about a year. Dating about a year. You know how you put plastic, on your desks, like a plastic sheet or a glass sheet, and then shove pictures underneath of, what
cluttery things like credit cards and pictures.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So there was this picture. I was at her desk, and I look at this picture, and I go, hey, I was at that thing that night. I'm like, oh my God, that was you. I had no idea until
it was a picture of me with my girls on the stage.
Until we've been dating like a year.
Mic in my hand, and had no idea what I was doing. But
and Susan, you didn't know either?
I didn't know it was him until he told me that he was there and that I blew him off. And
then she sort of remembered being an inhuman beast.
And I laughed so hard, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, you were that preppy guy. I was into the rock star thing at that point. I was like not into it. Plus I was also working. I wasn't getting hit on in a bar. But yeah, it was him.
And he's this med school nerd.
Yeah. Nerd.
Yeah.
Not a drummer for a band.
And it worked out. I was ready at that. That was 2 years later. So, and we.
Listen, I was a dental school nerd, so I can totally relate.
It's interesting though that you have a similar reaction, but didn't know the same person.
Yeah, but it's fate that we met twice.
Which is weird, right?
Right.
That seems like some kind of a spiritual type of connection. I mean, like that sounds cool.
I have a lot of
that sounds. What are the odds of that? That's amazing.
I'm very slim and lucky. I was very lucky. God,
you guys, I would consider. I call it you're survivors of triplets.
Yes. I didn't know I was going to have triplets. I might have run the other direction at that point.
I mean, listen, I have 4 kids, and they're about 3 years placed apart. And I understand having 2 in diaper phases and 2 in other phases, and the advantage of having 4. One at a time is that the older ones can help out with the younger ones. But when you have 3,
still a lot of people.
This is a lot of people. Exactly right. Yeah. So when you found out, you did not know you were going to have triplets?
No, we planned on it.
That was a surprise.
Fertility campaign. Fertility campaign back when they were super multiples were a little more common. They hadn't figured out how to figure that out yet. But now we watch this show on TLC called The Derricos. And she has like
nightmares,
full-on post-traumatic stress.
And then I have nightmares.
It's a show with parents that have 14 kids.
Yeah, and then I dream that I am bearing triplets again, and I'm old. And
she has a really traumatic reaction.
I guess, and the only thing I really think that when I realize I'm pregnant is that we'll definitely keep that piano teacher. I remember that in my dream. That was a good move. We have a great piano teacher. But he's in Colorado. I'd have to move.
A great piano teacher. Okay. And you had one girl, 2 boys, right?
Yes.
Is that right? You have 1 girl, 2 boys? Okay.
That's affirmative.
You guys are creeping up on about 30 years being married, which is also phenomenal. And I had
29.
Yeah. I mean, I listen, I read 2000. No, I read 91.
20.
That's what I read.
That's what it is.
No, next year's 30.
But I wasn't there. But
oh my God. Yeah. I need a vacation.
I mean, that would be the number.
Like a vacation, right, girls?
So let me ask you this: how did your experience? So you have this amazing, unique experience of being the host of this show, Loveline. That's, I think, anyone my age or older, that's immediately what they associate Drew Pinsky with is Loveline, right? Yeah. So, and you were married at the time, I think, right? You were married at the time you're doing Loveline?
Yeah.
So you had this super unique position of being like inside people's relationships a lot more than the average person. And I'm wondering what lessons you learned, if any, from like Loveline that, like, I don't know, stopped you from making mistakes in your own marriage or helped in your own relationship.
Or helped it.
Do you think?
And maybe Susan, same question for you, if you can think of anything, because I know you were there too.
It might just be just thinking about relationships a lot and what makes them healthy. I don't know if there's one specific thing, but
we both didn't have good sex advice growing up. We realized that there was a real problem and a disconnect with parents and their kids. So,
I mean, that was the draw of love.
And sexuality is like something that I embrace. I don't have a problem with it. You know, a lot of people can't. I like what he did. I found his medical approach to it to be very useful for the community and the world. And I saw people love it. And it was a little scary at first, but that show really needed a medical doctor. Yeah,
that's the part you got to remember. People think it was a relationship show. It was a medical show. It was Anthony Fauci telling young doctors like me to get out there and educate about HIV and AIDS that really motivated me to go out. And so it was AIDS that the term AIDS had just been invented. But my whole thing was, oh my God, we got people like Dr. Ruth out there encouraging all this unrestrained activity. There are biological consequences to that. And you can understand what they are. No one is telling you. And there's this thing coming you have to know about. So that was my original naive idea.
I'm trying to think how Loveline helped our relationship, though. That was his question.
You got me away out of the house a little bit.
Yeah, he went to work every night. I had some free time.
Yeah, she's wishing for that now. She's sort of complaining.
I'll tell you what I liked. What I always appreciated, what still makes me chuckle, is that you would get the most crazy calls with the most crazy things that I've never heard of, and the stoicness.
Yeah.
Talk about professional. The consummate professional. I felt like you never cracked, and I felt like you could sit there and listen to like the most insane stuff and be like, and just really medically professional handle that question and just field it like a professional from a medical standpoint.
A lot of it was stuff, I worked in a psychiatric hospital every day at that point. So a lot of that stuff was stuff I was hearing and seeing every damn day. Yeah. And we have a show now called After Dark where we do the same stuff. Me and Christina P. We answer these crazy questions and people still have them.
Yes.
That makes me more anxious than Loveline used to.
Why?
I mean, we dated for 7 years while he was on Loveline. Like I worked at K-Rock before he did, and so we were together 7 years before we got married. So we were still kind of dating when he was building his Loveline brand, and then when it started taking off and things started going well, we got married, and
It was she. I thought I was doing community service. She got pregnant with triplets, and they decided to put the show on 5 nights a week from once a week. And she goes, "You're not doing community service anymore. If you're going out every night, you're getting paid." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I'll go ask them if they'll pay me."
It was a good brand, and
that was in 1991.
It grew, and I quit working at radio. I just let him work there because I figured it was sort of a conflict of interest, anyways. And I went back to college, and I just helped him behind the scenes, build with his management and stuff to build his career.
Yeah. Was Loveline kind of like, at what point, Susan, did you start to think like, my husband's kind of a big deal? Like, when did that start to be like?
That never happened, my friend.
That still hasn't
happened? Maybe what encouraged her to think that way. Maybe there's some light that could go off based on your coaching.
I mean, I knew that when he did Loveline.
He's a big deal. He's a big deal.
When he did Loveline, the TV show, they were doing the pilot, and he'd done so many episodes over the years of Loveline, and he met Adam Carolla, and they did this pilot test thing, and I was watching the whole thing, and at the end of the night, everybody came up to said, "We're going out to dinner tonight. This was amazing," and I went. They don't buy you dinner after a pilot.
Yeah, she goes, that
they
means
must
something.
Really like it.
She goes, that means something. I go, what does it mean?
So we went out to dinner.
They need dinner.
And at that point, I knew that somebody was getting it finally, because we tried so many years to get Loveline on TV or get some notice of it. So that was sort of the beginning where I started realizing that he had an opportunity to be on TV. So we had to teach him how to be a television star, how to sit, how to hold his shoes.
Which I hated. I hated it.
Which way to move towards the camera.
But every time she'd make me look at that shit, I would just go, oh, God damn it, she's right.
And then you had a better angle. You had a better
angle. She'd go, look at Diane Farr. Look at how she looks at the camera. And I look at Diane Farr. I'm like, oh man, she's so right. She's so right.
I know.
Why am I resisting it? I resisted for years.
Good student.
Resisted.
No.
I almost forgot. So I also understand that there was some singing on the first date with you two. Listen, I don't know. Listen, my children, I know Dr. Drew from Loveline. My children know Drew from The Masked Singer, because he was the eagle. And when Dr. Drew took that eagle mask off and revealed his face, my kids were watching, and they didn't really know. And my wife said, "Oh, your dad knows him," and they were like, "What? You know the eagle?"
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, we know each other.
Your Q rating went way up.
You're right. In the eyes of your children, you suddenly had cred.
I know the eagle.
He sang to me in the car.
So it turns out you have kind of a very, very fine-tuned operatic voice.
I could make a pretty good sound one time, but it's been a steady decline since middle age. I'm telling you, it's very disturbing what it's.
And you don't recall singing.
It sounds familiar now. I had forgotten about that.
Driving to Lagoon.
I'm getting some conflicting stories here.
Yeah, no, I think I remember something like that. I don't know what the hell I was doing.
Told him he was flat.
Well, so what's interesting, what drew me to my wife, and this is so I play guitar, and I played guitar through college, and it was always like the girls would gather around, and I could play a John Mayer song, or I could play a Matthews song, or something like that, and I did it 100% for the girls, for the chicks.
Yeah, of course.
That was it. And then my wife couldn't care less that I played guitar, and I was like, she must be mine. I must have her.
Wow.
It was that, like, I don't care that you, she does care. She likes that I play guitar, but it wasn't like this, like, melty, like, oh, and I was like,
she wasn't your groupie.
She
didn't fall for the BS.
No, and I was wondering if that was your strategy too with the singing, Dr. Drew. Maybe it was. I will impress her with my skills, and she will be helpless.
I certainly would not. People have to really ask, like, they have to force me to do it.
Exactly.
She was like, I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
I'm a musician. I loved it. I was like, if you can sing, let's hear it. It was fun.
I loved you on The Masked Singer. I thought that was great.
It was fun. I was bummed that I got kicked off so fast. I mean, because it would have been just a couple more weeks would have been fun, because it really was a great operation.
It was an interesting show. I mean, was it really uncomfortable in that?
Not mine. My mask was good. My stuff was good.
Are they air conditioned? Is this like professional quality mascot type of costumes?
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Is there AC inside?
No, well, I imagine they could do some, but they spent a lot of money on these costumes, and the EP sat me down. They go over stuff before you go out there for your performance, and he goes, "And you better last a while, because I spent so damn much money on this costume, those feathers." I was like, "I'm trying, man. I'll do the best I can. Talk to your judges, not me."
Yeah.
Canceled the whole summer of podcasting because we thought he was going to be busy all month, and he got kicked off the first week.
Yeah, crazy.
We couldn't tell anybody either. We had to be like, I was like, oh, we just want to build a television studio in the house, and so we're not going to be able to do shows for a few weeks because Drew's, Drew's super busy, and and then he got kicked off, and I was like, oh no,
now what do we do? Let's go to New York.
But we had a good time. It was well worth it.
It seemed like it seemed like an amazing.
That's the other time I realized he made it.
Oh,
that was it.
Oh my God.
At the same time as my 8-year-old. That's the same time that he was like, this guy's cool.
And I didn't even get to go. I mean, because
they won't let you bring anybody.
I know.
Well, are you good at keeping? You must be good at keeping secrets, Susan.
Well, they made a sign.
Yes, I had to keep secrets.
Because you can't tell anybody, right? You can't tell like your friends. Did your kids know?
At the very end, I had to tell people because they were figuring it out. And I couldn't lie.
I made her look at the non-disclosure. I look at what you signed.
like the day before kind of thing, like before he got unmounted. Like people were figuring it out because he had to go somewhere and we had to do this thing and we were like trying to get ready for it. And a couple people figured it out, but I could only a day before. So, but then my son was the only one. Yeah, no, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't that hard. It's just we had to kind of bend the truth a little bit to everybody and why.
Wait, your kids didn't even know? Your kids didn't know ahead of time? You had to like keep that secret from kids?
One knew because this vocal coach started showing up, and I said, I'm going to sing the national anthem at the Dodger game. And then I turned out having the reason I've lost some of my range is I've got some serious problems on my cords. I had a hemorrhage, I have a varice, I had reflux, I had all kinds of stuff. So they sent me in a vocal rehab program. Oh. And this rehab coach started showing up every day.
Yeah.
And now my son's like, oh, what? Every day for the doctor? I'm like, all right.
So he had to sign.
Take this paper, sign it.
And then we didn't tell the musician, the pianist and the opera singer, because we have an opera singer in the family, another generation, because his mother was an opera singer, he's an opera singer, and then my son was too, and a pianist. And he wasn't allowed to know, and I wish he could have, because he probably would have helped Drew with his coaching.
Oh, yeah, he could have coached me.
But we couldn't tell him, and, we just didn't want to.
He wasn't living here then either.
No, and it was, Jordan was living here, but he would have figured it out if he was here.
Yeah.
But you worked around his schedule. He didn't come over very often. So anyways, the one who was probably would have been the best coach didn't even know. So, and we could have gotten that free coaching.
I heard another rumor. About you guys, that you guys are 90 Day Fiance fans.
Yes.
Oh my God. So
is that not the best show in the world?
I feel sorry for Ash.
I don't feel sorry for Ash. Oh, we lost you again. Are you back? No.
Come back to us, Dr. Brady.
We were talking about how 90 Day Fiance is like the greatest show of all time.
So to me, two things about 90 Day Fiance. The fact that we look forward to that every week is a symptom of how disturbing this COVID epidemic has been and how depressed I am, how problematic it is.
That and the Tiger King.
It is a symptom. It is a glaring symptom of how bad things are.
Man.
Number one. And number two, I am so pissed off at my friends Tom Segura and Christina P.
for introducing you.
Because they kept texting me going, what's wrong with this guy's Ash's eyes? This guy Ash, look at his eye. And I go, well, it's either Beth, hyperthyroidism, or maybe just he's scared. So they go, you got to watch and tell us. So we watched the Avery Ash thing, and I was like, he's terrified of Avery. She's horrible. She's something else, and she's scaring the hell out of him.
I had Avery on my podcast.
No way.
I did. So she's a dental assistant, and when the show first started, I was addicted to 90 Day Fiance before COVID ever came around. So she was a dental assistant, and when I watched, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna find her on Instagram." Oh, no. I DM'd her into it on the podcast. We had a great conversation, and she couldn't tell me much because it was mid-season, and she can't tell me like how things ended up with her and Ash. And it was before that big seminar where Ash kind of tanked that seminar big time. And but no, she's great, and she is such a.
Well, she scared the crap out of Ash, who also had thyroid disease, which was I was sort of bad. So I call Christine. So for Christine and Tom, they're like, "Here, just try this heroin. Just sniff a little bit of it. It's no big deal. It won't hurt you. Just try it." And now I'm like, every Sunday and Monday, I'm like, and then this one with the pillow talk thing, she has to watch that. So we have to. watch
you do the pillow
goddamn thing all over again. So
I was a big fan of the People's Couch too.
I can't do the pillow talk. I can't do. I think The Walking Dead made that popular because The Walking Dead had a show called The Talking Dead with Chris Hardwick, and I think that's what made those like after shows. Like they realized they could capitalize on it all over again.
Yeah, actually, there's many incarnations of this idea, but there was just one show. What was the one called where they just showed people watching reality shows on the couch or something?
People's Couch.
People's Couch. Yeah.
With my friends.
Yeah.
With my friends that I took on Below Deck with me.
Yeah.
Wait, you know the people from Below Deck?
She went on Below Deck.
I was on Below Deck. One of my psychic mediums paid for a group of us to go, and we're doing a podcast with the guys from the People's Couch. And she says, I have to take some people on the cruise. I go, who do you want? And she was like, I don't know. I go, how about a bunch of gay guys? So we took out all the gay guys from the People's Couch.
Yeah.
It was fun. We had a really good time, but it was $50,000 for her cash, and they just racked her over the coals. They made her look so bad, and she was so angry afterwards. And I I was pretty boring as a guest, but
hang on.
It was also the highest rated one. I just want to let you know.
Hang on. Mark Cronin is a friend.
Who was your captain? What season?
Captain Lee. And it's the one where they're with all the psychics, and they replay it like every month.
Oh, I think I remember that.
What?
I'm sure I watched it.
Yeah, well, there were psychics telling them, if they would be dating, and they made Rebecca seasick, so she would throw up in her cabin, and they filmed that. And yeah, it was very fun. It was a really fun trip, but it's a beautiful ship. They gave us amazing food and all we wanted to drink. And
love that show.
The psychics were all sober, so it didn't matter.
So Mark Cronin,
but he thinks that I did something
Mark Cronin
wrong.
is the executive producer and creator. He's a friend of mine. And he pulled me aside and he said, I protected her. You're not going to see anything bad on TV. I made sure of it, which I appreciated. I'm good
a guardian angel of sorts.
Yes.
Well, everybody else wanted to be in front of the camera the whole time. I'm kind of the producer type. I like to be behind the scenes. I was actually producing one of the pieces when Cindy was giving a girl the reading, and she's like, I don't know what to do. I was like, just do it. So they liked me. But it was a fun trip.
That's so interesting. That's so interesting. I love these reality. Do you guys watch a lot of TV? You guys watch a lot of reality shows?
Well, now we're stuck, with COVID. We watch more than we normally would.
You read a lot of books, though.
Yeah, I do.
Have you gone into back episodes of 90 Day Fiancé? Have you gone
I really want to. I want to go back and see who all the people are on the pillow talk. Now I've got to go do that.
There is no greater couple than Danielle and Mohammed. Do you know Danielle and Mohammed?
Which one do they know?
So Danielle is the American, Mohammed is from Tunisia. And I don't want to spoil anything just in case you go back and watch it, but they are the greatest couple, couple to ever grace the stage.
And they're
of
happy
90 Day
or
Fiancé.
Are they cool guys?
Chaotic?
No, it imploded big time.
They're
it imploded big time. And the reunions were toxic.
I want to host those reunions or something. I'm pissed that I don't get to host those. They should at least bring me in.
It would. Yeah, listen, those reunions make Teen Mom look like.
I know. I know, and they could be
kindergarten squabble.
And trust me, they could be done differently and more intensely.
You have my vote, Dr. Drew. I would love your take on each one of these people's relationships.
Without the part I said about Avery, she just looked bad on TV. Drew was like, "What is wrong?"
She's scaring the crap out of Ash. That's for sure.
She has a history. She has children, and that creates a weird dynamic. From the very beginning, my issue with that was, I don't see how this is ever going to work because he has kids in Australia and she has kids in Washington.
Impossible.
And somebody has to abandon their child for this to work out, and I don't see how that's ever going to happen.
Right.
No, it's impossible without abandoning.
You got to remember these are reality shows. I'm sure she shared with you a lot of the stuff is sort of manufactured, and the producers are nudging this and that, and I can kind of see the producers' hands at work in a lot of these things.
They have to be.
What about Tiffany? Isn't she the one that? Isn't Tiffany the African American girl with the cool wigs?
Oh yeah, with the guy in Jordan.
Yeah. Can't remember his name.
I don't know that one. How do I not know that one?
It's a good one.
She's married, and then
she's married and hiding that.
She's trying to make his parents fall in love with her, and she's not Muslim, and she's African American. So sometimes the finger wags a little bit, and she gives them the look. But they're so cute together. I mean, what a beautiful couple. But I can see how they're infatuated with each other, but it's really a tough situation culturally, and the fact that they don't know she's married. But they're going to find out when the season comes out, won't they?
You think
and I heard the Masked Singer is coming back. I saw it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know
how they're going to do it.
Everybody's going to have.
You can't be on there twice, right?
No, we won't.
I came back last season. I did a little appearance. It was fun.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Fantastic. Okay, so I do want to ask some medical questions because I could actually talk about 90 Day Fiancé for the entire day.
Should I leave?
I could. No, stick around. No, absolutely, stick around.
She's trying to escape. Don't let her escape.
I know.
I won't answer. I'll just right over here, my phone.
Listen, so one thing that dentists prescribe about, I don't know, five drugs total. Like, we don't really prescribe a whole lot. But I know I've kind of touched on this with you with the opioid epidemic.
Yeah.
And the conflicted nature that I have with the patients want opioids. right? When they have an extraction done or they have anything that requires pain management, they want Norco, Percocet, hydrocodone, Vicodin, oxycodone. And if you don't give it to them, they'll choose someone else. They'll go somewhere else. So most dentists are small business owners, right? So we really, we have to think about keeping people with us. We don't prescribe a lot. We prescribe, 12 to 16 tabs for, a single extraction or even like multiple extractions, pulling wisdom teeth out. Rarely for root canals, but there's these procedures that, cause pain and cause the need for pain management. What do you feel like there's alternatives?
No, you should be opiates are great for surgical pain. They should be used for the appropriate duration that you anticipate there to be surgical pain, 3 to 4 days. Okay. And you're saying you prescribe 12, 16 tablets, but listen, back when I was struggling with the opioid epidemic, dentists routinely were giving 30 and 60 or 90.
I got 30 when Dennis had his wisdom teeth pulled. He didn't even need them.
Routine. And
he took one.
You got to remember the pain management world told you that you should be. We're under prescribing. We have opiophobia. Pain is what the patient says it is. There was this movement afoot that was insane. So there was a discipline out there encouraging dentists and others to prescribe. Now I have patients go into the dentist and tell them I'm a drug addict, I'm recovering, I'm an opiate addict. And I've had dentists literally go, "Oh, good, thank you so much for telling me that. Here, take this tall one." And it's like, no. Look, you can give them the opiate, but I'm not, people with opiate addiction still need opiates during surgical windows, but they have to be coached up. They have to be, somebody's got to be administering it to them because they confuse anxiety and pain. They can only take it for a very brief window.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it will change their thinking immediately after they stop the drug. The dragon very often gets awakening. I have patients that wake up, opiate addicts wake up, say on a morphine infusion after surgery, and they immediately begin all the craziness. Even Shelley has a story about this. The Shelley with the glasses and the blonde hair on Celebrity Rehab. She has a great story of, 3 or 4 years into sobriety, she's a heroin addict. 4 years into sobriety, she wakes up after a big surgery. She's on morphine, immediately begins manipulating the nurses, obfuscating, bullshitting, expressing anger and splitting and anticipating the next dose and escalating for more. And she knew she was doing it, but could not stop. Just by waking up on morphine infusion, which was appropriate. She needed to be on it because she'd had a bad surgery, but the disease awakens. And when it awakens, it can stay awake for a while. And you have to plan for that. You have to make sure they have a sponsor. You have to make sure they have home meetings. You have to make sure they're structuring their life to deal with the potential of the isms coming back.
Well, that makes me feel better because I always feel like I don't want to contribute to this, but I have to manage pain somehow, and it does seem like opioids
people should not suffer. That's not the point. But you need to approach it a specific way, and you should only be doing it for the window of surgical pain.
I had a really interesting experience as a young dentist, really new to the game, and I had this great mentor in the first where I practiced in Colorado, and he had about 10 years of experience, and I had this patient who was super awesome to me. She told me that no one had ever understood
You're the
her.
best dentist ever. No one has ever been as good as you. You are falling into
exactly where I'm going.
You're either going. There's two traps like that. One is borderline personality disorder, and the other is addiction. Either one, you're slipping in.
Well, listen, I am a lover of attention. I love, the flattery is definitely so. He notices after she leaves that I gave her a prescription, and I told him, I said, I had a really amazing experience with this patient. I think I really connected with her. And he had seen her a few times, and he said, deny her drugs next time and see what happens. And I was like, are you suggesting that she tricked me? And he said, absolutely, she tricked you. She manipulated you. She fled. Did she tell you how great you are?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, she did actually. And he said, yeah, she told me that. too when I first saw her. She told me, I mean, like, so I learned that that's how they use, flattery is used to, again, like you said,
idealization, de-idealization. It's also what celebrities do too. So if you're gonna take care of celebrities, you have to be really careful. Like that's how Conrad Murray got sucked in, right? Only you can take care of me. You're the only doctor. I'm going to give you whatever you need. You got to follow me wherever I go. Now he's alone with a complex psychiatric case that can go nowhere but bad. Nowhere but bad.
Well, that's really good. I like that. That's good to know. I had another question about, I do want to get into some COVID stuff.
Yeah.
We are
Susan has escaped. She has escaped.
I know. I saw that.
She had to plug in the computer. We were about to go dark on you.
Okay.
But she's coming back, right?
She's
going to drink.
Back after you're done with this.
All right.
So, well, this is about socialness. This is about society, not really like medical. I believe like it's really easy for most people to understand how COVID comes to an end from a medical standpoint. A vaccine, some kind of herd immunity.
Yeah.
I want to know what your feelings are about COVID coming to an end socially. Now with all these new social norms, I mean, I don't know, like if a vaccine comes out tomorrow and COVID is no longer a threat, do we still wear masks? Do we still social distance?
Yeah.
Can I go to a concert? Can I go back to movie theaters and sporting events?
Yeah.
Where do you see like the end from a societal standpoint, not necessarily a medical standpoint?
It's hard to predict, right? So we're just sort of guessing here. I think once the election passes, a lot of stuff will settle down, which will be interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the idea of persistent anxiety and fear of social contact, I think, is really going to happen. First of all, there'll be a lot more working at home, right? And there'll be you'll have a second thought before you go to a concert or a football game, right? You'll think, should I really go? No. And come flu season, cold season, I think we'll see people wearing masks. I think there'll be a lot more hand washing. There'll be a lot more awareness, I think, of infectious disease. Now, the problem is, I was talking to infectious disease public health guys today. There's other vector-borne illnesses. Now we've got accustomed to dealing with respiratory illness. We're about to have bubonic plague hit. The first human case was in South Lake Tahoe. We have a massive rodent problem here that's going to be a vector for plague, inevitably. And no one's thinking about all these other things that ways infectious disease get distributed through a population.
Well, I think that's the worry, is that even once COVID is maybe minimized as a threat, that there's a possibility that the idea that this could happen again just lingers and people just continue to socially distance. Now, honestly, there's some things that like I'm married. I don't have to, like, I can be with my significant other during all this, but I wonder about like the single person, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't have any contact with anybody.
Yeah. No, I do too. Again, I don't know. It's hard to predict how it's going to play out. I mean, it's inevitable that there are changes, but exactly what those changes are, I'm really not sure. Young people, you know how young people are. They feel cavalier and invincible. So I don't think it's going to change their behavior that much. I think everyone else is going to have a second thought in their head before they get in close contact with people, certainly in large groups.
I've heard a lot of people talk about like once the election's over, and I feel the same way. And I feel like that's somewhere in me, doesn't that kind of suggest there's some kind of political manipulation?
There's certainly political energy around everything. And never before have people that just learned how to pronounce a medication 2 weeks ago have an opinion about whether a medicine I've been using for 35 years, they have an opinion about whether I should be prescribing it. They have no GD business being involved in any way, but it's just because everyone's in a political frenzy that they feel they have to have an opinion about it.
Yeah, they've read it on the internet, so they know everything.
Yeah, that's so it's so interesting because I feel the exact same way. Like I think something's going to change magically after the election. I hope that's right. If it is right, it kind of makes you think a little bit about what was there. This seems weaponized. Like no matter what,
completely weaponized. Look, it's a terrible flu with a high contagion. It's not. People are literally come to me and go, "Is this it? Is this the species ending?" I'm like, "What? You got to be kidding!" They're just trying to flatten out a flu so we don't overwhelm the healthcare system. Right. It's nasty. So if you're 80, be careful.
Yeah.
I mean, remember, 60% asymptomatic under the age of 35.
Or if you're obese.
Or obese. Fatality rate of 0.0001 if you're under 35. I mean, it's worthy of attention. It's not worthy of destroying society and being in a panic.
It's worse than the flu, though.
It is worse than the flu. It's worse.
I'm glad you said that. And there's a lot of cool people leaving California, and I wondered, you probably have. I'm sure some of these people are friends of yours, right?
Yeah.
Isn't Corolla leaving?
No.
He'd like to, but he's not. He's
not. Okay, I thought he was one of the ones talking about it.
No, it's a lot of the comedians though are talking about it. Yeah, a lot of comedians are talking about it, and everyone's talking. I don't know anybody who doesn't have a plan. Everybody's thinking about it.
They're in their 40s.
Are you guys staying put in California?
We think we've decided to stay put, but we've been really thinking about it. We've been thinking a lot about it.
Yeah.
It's insane. They are out of control here. Listen, we've traveled around the country a bit now, and nowhere feels like California. This feels like a concentration camp.
Like in what way? Okay, so let's let the listeners know. For example, I'm in Washington State, and so what are your limitations right now? What are the government mandates from
the governor gets on TV. The governor gets on TV every night, and the mayor gets on TV every night and threatens you. If you don't do better, we're going to lock you down. People are dying. Just this hysteria. This is terrible.
And we have 100,000 homeless in downtown LA.
Right.
They don't give a shit about. Pardon my French.
Right. And so
Portland and Seattle, we have that same issue too.
The health messages are so inconsistent and so exaggerated, and then so hypocritical. It's just really hard to get anything from it. Remember the terrorism scale from green to red? Remember that dial? Well, our mayor has produced that dial for this infection. He's holding us at orange, going, "I'm going to shut everything down. I'm going to shut it all down." It's like we're yellow or green right now in reality. Yeah, you can't get your hair done. You can't eat in restaurants. You can't
get your nails done. I got my nails done in New York City, though. They're open.
Really?
I did.
It's the
That's why they look good.
Rhetoric.
They look amazing.
So destructive.
I'm still going to get my hair done.
So destructive to be telling people they're powerless, helpless. We're gonna control you. You're bad, and you're not getting. And when in fact the rates are going way down, the hospitalization down, death rates down, everything's down. We should be celebrating that we've got this thing under control.
But it's okay to go out and be on the streets during a protest. 8,000 people can walk around the streets
so the young people hear that, so they go, I was at a protest with 50,000 people. You told me that was okay, so I'm gonna have a house party.
No, that's the hypocrisy. Exactly.
Everybody's buying
And just recently in Seattle, they had a march in person to protest the ability to have mail-in ballots for the election because it's too dangerous to go to a voting booth in person. So they had an in-person march.
Right.
It doesn't make any. It's almost like this is the world that if I could choose not to live in it,
I want to mail my ballot, but I'm going to go out and
so my fear is
that
this is a serious outbreak. A lot of people get hurt. We need to take it very, very seriously. And the fact that the health messaging has been so screwed up really bothers me. I mean, you mentioned Loveline a half hour ago, and that's all that was health messaging.
Yeah.
So we know exactly how to do it. And actually, there's been research on it since we did the show, not on our show so much, but on how to get young people to change their health behaviors. And guess what? Relatable source, a case of a young person that they can relate to, a narrative, there's a story arc, and a little humor, then it kind of gets through. Anything else, you better be just clear and state it. Don't exaggerate it. Don't be inconsistent. Don't be hypocritical, because you get in any of those areas, young people will abandon you for good. They will not listen to anything you say.
Listen, I love your take on this stuff, because everyone seems to be weaponized towards one ideology or the other. And it seems like you form your opinion based on your favorite politician, which is like akin to, judging your opinion based on which WWE wrestler you like the most.
Right.
Macho Man Randy Savage or Ric Flair.
Exactly right.
And if you're a Ric Flair fan, you hate everything that Macho Man says. And that seems to be, and then you make opinions on, incredibly complex topics like hydrochloroquine, right? Or, hydrochloroquine, or whatever the new thing might be. And we're in a super complex situation that I believe, based on death count and hospitalizations, we're making it through. We're doing it.
Yeah.
There are some tragedies along the way with any.
No, but we should be celebrating the progress.
Yes.
Really serious progress. And the masks are working. The distancing is working. Guess what, everybody? That stuff works. Keep doing it. Excellent.
Yes.
No, and we got 85% of Americans wearing masks, and there's always going to be a certain percentage of people that are just going to do whatever the hell they want to do. Right? They're going to buck the system, and doesn't matter what you tell me to do or I'm not going to do it because I don't want to be told what to do.
Atlanta's not wearing masks.
Really?
Yeah.
Not as much. It was a little
wishy-washy.
Yeah.
More pushback there.
Better now.
California, everyone's wearing masks, but they were wearing it because in New York, they're wearing masks because they were frightened by what happened.
Yeah.
Here, wearing masks, they were not wearing masks because we're so
gyms.
tired of the government preaching, bearing down on us that a certain percentage of people are pushing back.
Yeah.
I wear a mask just because I don't want to mess with people who want to tell me I shouldn't or shouldn't be. And it's easy. And I'm a dentist anyway, so I usually have a mask in my pocket anywhere I go. So I've been wearing a mask since before it was the cool thing to do.
I remember you said on our show that you were going to be ready for this with all your PPP stuff. Is that what they're called? PPP?
PPE, personal protective equipment.
And the loans, the PPP. I can't remember. Anyway, so do you have to wear hazmat suits to work now? And there's
just a couple of additional pieces of PPE that dentists need to be cognizant of. But most dentists are already wearing face shields of some. You wear a surgical mask plus, some kind of eye protection.
Right.
And you basically got your entire face covered anyways. And that's what we've always, and gloves. So that's what we've always been doing. And for the most part, dentistry has been not changed. And there is zero evidence that there's any pockets of flare-ups or viral, hotspots coming from a dental office.
Right. That is science. That whenever they say we got to follow the science, you've got to study what certain locations, see if there are any outbreaks. That's it.
Right.
No. Okay. Good.
But
I want
early
to go back
on,
to the dentist.
Yeah, early on in the epidemic, in the pandemic rather, dentists were kind of closed. We were kind of shut down to a certain extent. Most states said stop practicing dentistry, and so we were kind of affected in the beginning. Slowly, each state has kind of gotten back to where they need to get to. But there was an early article, and it was a no-name website. It wasn't. It was just someone's opinion, like an op-ed piece, that put dentistry in one of the top 3 high-risk categories, dentistry and dental hygiene. So it made everyone super scared. But what wasn't in there was a nursing home assistant, which seems like that's way higher risk based on where the deaths were coming from in the very beginning.
100%.
And so from the beginning, I was like, well, I'm sorry, but dentists are a model of infection control in general. We are
nail salons.
We are at the highest exposure, but not the highest risk. And that tells you our exposure absolutely super high, but our risk is not high based on the science of where these outbreaks occur.
Absolutely. In New York, it was funny that I remember Cuomo one day was like, well, now look at our infection rate amongst the first line, caretakers in an ICU. It's 4%. And if you stay at home, it's 16%. We're sure doing a good job with our first responders. No. It's because masks work and because they're using the PPEs, and you're making people stay home where transmission occurs. You're requiring the people stay in the environment of transmission. It's crazy.
And that's one of the things I said. There's a lot of people who say masks don't work. And masks aren't 100% effective. No. It depends on the type of mask you're wearing.
Wear it on your chin. It's not going to
work. Right. Below your nose, like people do, it's not going to work.
Considered to be less effective.
Yes.
But for me, it was the evidence of my own experience, which was I've always worn a mask, and I'm around all kinds of infectious diseases all the time, and I've never really had an issue with that at all. So I don't have a problem wearing the mask.
You wash your hands, and it's like you just sanitize everything in between.
Yeah, I don't worry that I'm going to die from COVID-19, but I also don't want to get it if I can try. So
I had H1N1. It was brutal.
Oh,
brutal.
I bet. Yeah. Now, well, listen, I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. You guys have been fantastic, and you've been so gracious to come on and spend some time with me. I think this could be considered as like definitely a date night for you guys, as far as checking that box off.
She's all made up for it. She's ready to go.
That's right.
Good idea, Brady.
Right? Date night.
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready.
Now have some drinks and enjoy the rest of the night.
Yeah, well, I'll do that anyway. So
listen.
Thank you for having us. It was really a pleasure. I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, what's the best way for people to be involved with your projects? Is it what's the? I didn't want to butcher
all the
this part of it.
shows are available at drdrew.com that Drew does, and also we have a long list of Dose of Dr. Drews on youtube.com/Dr. Drew. But you'll find all the links on drdrew.com if you want to see what he's been up to. And he has Dr. Drew After Dark, which is more of a Loveline style show. And
love it, by the way. Love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very funny. And he and Christina P. are really hitting it out of the park with that show. He has the Adam and Drew show, which is the legacy of the podcasts, Dr. Drew podcast, as well as the 2 live stream shows. If you want to come watch our live streams every day, you just go to drdrew.tv, and we have everything on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. So, we're easy to find. Just Google Dr. Drew. You'll find it, whatever it is that you want to see. And we do want you to see the show with Dr. Brady, because clearly that was an epic show for me. I really enjoyed it. It was a tearjerker, seeing the transformation and the love that was put into Allison Rennie's teeth. And I know she loves you, and she thinks that you're the best thing ever, and I think she's doing a little PR for you or something, and that's good. I'm really glad. I'd love to do anything I can to help.
She loves you too, Susan, and we should make a special note here. That's, cut off. Well, we should make a special note here that you were super involved in making her feel comfortable. She had a little bit of anxiety. When I say a little bit, I mean like a ton. So
I'm
she
like
had a ton of anxiety.
a cheerleader mom. I'm like, come on, get on that plane. This is your
She was like air traffic getting her landed.
Your empowerment as a woman moment. She's like, I'm so scared because there's protests outside, and it reminds me of
listen. Susan was texting with me, texting with Allison, making sure that everyone was comfortable.
Made sure she didn't take too many of the pain pills. I wanted to make sure she didn't take one and then forget and take another one and not show up somewhere. But, I'm really concerned about that as well. But she went through it with flying colors. I mean, you did great.
She's done great. She's not completely out of the woods yet, but the hard part's basically done. And now
she's very happy. She's very happy.
She's fantastic. Listen, can't thank you guys enough, and definitely go check out Dr. Drew TV. He's got all kinds of great guests that come on. Before I forget, I almost forgot. We got a secret word to do, and then we'll adjourn for the day. We need to do a secret word. Every week we do a secret word. It's worth $500 in my dental office towards whatever procedures you may want or need. I wanted to give it to Dr. Drew and Susan to come up with a secret word. I was wondering if you guys have a secret word for us.
And today's secret word is
aligners.
That's a good one.
I have no idea what that is, but I'll go with it.
You know what aligners are?
Another big doctor word that I don't know. Who's your editor?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good word.
Yeah, listen, we're going to use the word aligners. I want people to email the word aligners to drilledpodcast@gmail.com. And the first person to do that gets $500 of free word towards anything they need. And if you can't use it yourself,
teeth clean,
we allow people to gift it to someone else.
Oh, you can gift it to
somebody.
somebody.
The word is aligners.
Okay.
If anybody, it's just, you can, absolutely. So all our listeners, mostly for local people who are around us. I mean,
yes,
I guess
if
you want to fly in to get $500 of free work, I suppose you could do that.
I would do that.
A lot of sense, depending on where you are.
To see Dr. Brady?
Well, you can come by anytime. Absolutely. Hey, we would welcome that.
God, if you were my dentist,
nails done here, I'm pretty sure.
I'd be in there every week.
Whoa.
Sorry, Drew.
Easy.
He's cute.
Aw. Listen, you guys are cute. So thank you so much. I appreciate you standing through all the little cutouts here. But I wish you guys the best, and I hope to connect with you guys again very soon.
Share this podcast with everybody.
Thanks so much, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.